Cool. All right. I see it here on YouTube now. I do not know if they can hear us, so we will find out that too soon. So, all right, you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go.
Ready.
And great. All right, I think it's off. Yes. Welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Brandon VanderWel. We are at Eviva, and we're here with some wonderful, I'm a bariatric surgeon. I do weight loss surgery, and I have brought on some wonderful patients that have had weight loss surgery themselves that have agreed to come on and just kind of share what this journey is like. A lot of people out there are stuck in their weight and really feel trapped and don't have any hope for really getting their lives better. And we want to give them some hope, and that there's really some good tools out there that can really help them change their life and make them healthier and make them live better, fuller lives. So without further ado, Callie, Dustin, would you guys introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Callie Klein. I live here in Washington State, and I had my surgery October 1 of last year. I don't know how much to share.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, no, that's great. We'll get into all the rest of it. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dustin Pruitt. I had my weight loss surgery back in March, so I'm still early on in the journey, but enjoying it. So
yeah, great. Thanks for joining us, guys. So a lot of people are out there struggling with their weight. They're on the fence about, like, what do I do? You know, there's medications now, there's surgeries that are kind of scary, it sounds like. How long did you think about surgery before you met me?
Let's see. So I had the surgery last year, so that made me 48. So I'd say my entire life. But honestly, probably about 3 years before I met with you, it had become more and more critical. The year before meeting with you, I had had my second knee surgery. I had to have both of my knees replaced, and yes, before the age of 50, which was 100% due to my weight. And so that really was the catalyst of, I have to do something. And everything else that I had tried up until that point was, the yo-yo diets, the pills, the weight loss plans, the not being able to exercise because my knees were so bad. Everything else, it just was not working. And so I don't want to say the surgery was my last ditch effort, but it kind of was, because it was, something had to work. And so coming to you guys was definitely something that had been on my mind for a very long time, but it was kind of a do or die, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's truthfully, that's the average story is, someone thinks about weight loss surgery for 3 to 5 years before they meet someone like me. So, Dustin, how about you? How long did you think about it before?
I think seriously, I had been thinking about it for at least 10 years or so. Um, I'd always heard about other people doing it. I think for me, before they had the surgery I got, and they had more of the bypass and everything. So those kind of surgeries scared me a little more with the complications or different side effects.
Yeah.
But then once I heard about the sleeve, then I really started getting interested because it felt more equipped for me to handle my lifestyle going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think over the last 5 years with the GLP-1s, I was trying that route, hoping that I wouldn't need surgery, and always trying these other, like Callie said, the yo-yo diets, or just trying to do it on my own. And, I think at the end of the day, I knew I always wanted to get this surgery, and it was on the thing. And I just kept trying to do it on my own, hoping or trying to motivate myself to do it on my own. But I think in the back of my head, I always knew that I might end up here. And I just needed that push to come see you. And then you guys made it so easy to get in there and start it that
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on and I was like, all right, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah, and you guys have both done fantastic. It is. It's a tool. I mean, we love doing like I love coming to work. I love the people I work with. They love doing this. You know, a good percentage of people out of Viva have had weight loss surgery themselves, and we just understand how much it can change their life. I had a patient say the most amazing thing to me the other day. He said, "This surgery has added years to my life and life to my years," which was
100%.
yeah, that was
Absolutely.
like, oh man, that sums it up really well. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know that is the thing that people they're like, I just feel obesity is such a hard disease because it's a disease of both biology and it's there's a behavioral component and people beat themselves up about the behavioral piece and they really underestimate the biology piece.
Hmm.
If your biology is working against you, and I argue that in the 21st century, our bodies are not made for the 21st century. They're really not.
Yeah.
And they are made to survive hardship and scarcity. And if that is not the environment that we live in, which I am thankful, um, it just makes managing your weight very challenging. And if
Well,
you get to the point where you're obese, it's really hard to get out of there. And it's very, very challenging. And having a smaller stomach is really helpful. So
yes. Well, and I just to add to you, it's like everything out there, once you're in that, I want to say diet and fitness and trying to lose weight loop, everything's marketed out there to the gurus and everything. And I'm not downplaying their thing, but to your point, if everything's working against you and then you see all these people talking about how easy it is, just do X, Y, and Z and you'll do it, and you continue to fail at in
Hmm.
one way or another with those different things, it just breaks you down mentally. And I think that was another big thing for to get me in with you guys was just I had to mentally get right and ready and understand that it, by getting surgery, I wasn't failing. By getting surgery, I was, to your point, adding that tool that helped me succeed. And it's not succeeding in whatever fashion is the right thing to look forward to and the right thing to strive for. Not, don't think of it just because you might mentally think of it the easy way out. That you're failing. I think everybody needs a different thing. Everybody uses different tools and take advantage of what you can and what you need.
yeah,
Yes.
so true. Surgery, you just every most people feel like they're trying all these things, right? Your mindset, your diet, your exercise, you're working on your psychology with your therapist, you're talking about your environment, your support system. But if your biology is working against you, you are fighting an uphill battle and
Hmm.
always will be. And surgery is that tool that helps this one. It is our best tool. And I mean, you guys I think have some experience with the medication. I know for you, Dustin,
Hmm.
for sure. Like you're like, okay, yeah, it helps, but man, there's it's a big upgrade to work with your body as opposed to against your body. So,
Mhm.
um, what were you afraid of your stomach being permanently smaller, and what has it actually been like?
I I would say a little bit just because it was the unknown, right? Like it's one thing to say it's going to be smaller, but it's another thing to know what that's going to be afterwards. And you hear the kind of horror stories of, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be so catastrophic," and you hear how some people may have issues and things like that. For me, I've had I'll say, relatively easy time because I've listened to you guys. And I think that's the biggest thing is that if you listen to your doctor and you listen to your nutritionist, it goes a long way. And, I measure out my food and I eat until my measurements are gone or I follow my cues and all of that. And it really has not been that um, difficult. I don't I do feel hungry sometimes. Those hunger pains are starting to come back and the signals are there that I get hungry. but it's definitely manageable. It's definitely something that I'm learning to work with, and it doesn't feel abnormal or difficult or challenging. It's my new norm. And it's the new way that my body is and my mind is, and it's become okay. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's perfectly fine. So it's been a learning curve, but it's never been scary. It's never been, one of the questions I know you're going to ask us later, and I know we'll wrap back around it, but I have no regrets about any of the changes that have come with my smaller stomach, because it's just who I am now.
I describe this as what I provide people is a 21st century stomach. Like,
Mhm.
I really do believe, like, I have a strong conviction that 90% of the population would do amazing with a sleeve.
Yeah.
Like, with a smaller stomach, we would be just fine.
Mhm.
Just fine. So,
Yeah.
Dustin, what about you? Were you afraid of, kind of having a smaller stomach, and we're like, man, what is, and has that
I
been has any of your fears been realized of that?
I don't think I was ever worried about the smaller stomach per se, because I knew that's what I needed. I needed to be able to eat less. And I needed help doing that. I think with the bigger stomach, it was too hard. It was too easy to overeat, and you couldn't shrink it fast enough. I think really my biggest worry with the surgery, stomach surgery and smaller, was what couldn't I eat, and what couldn't I put in, and how would I manage what I could and couldn't eat. And what I've found is that yeah, I crave things. There's things I shouldn't be eating, and yes, you can get a little bit of those, but I think, like Callie said, is like it's your new norm, and it
Mhm.
becomes just natural. And listening to you guys and working through the process of what you do on week 1, 2, 3, 4, it helps you adjust and helps you just drive that new norm. And so it wasn't that worry. And I, as much as I miss certain things that I'm not ready to eat yet or shouldn't eat a lot of, it's like if I take a bite and I'm fine, but I got to manage my what I can eat and know that I got to stay within my measurements. And if I do that and stay within my plan, everything's going well. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks for sharing that stuff, guys.
mhm.
Um, Dustin, you're a little closer than Callie. Do you remember what your recovery was like, and kind of what was it? Was it as bad as you thought it was? Was it worse than you thought it would be?
um, a little bit of both. In the sense of it was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. I mean, you guys talk about the different possibilities, and I didn't have a lot of those. I didn't have the acid reflux and things like that. I do think it was how I managed it, and some of it was my body too. So I didn't have those things. I think the harder part of it was it, in that first 3 weeks. You start, especially, you're only doing the liquids at first, and so then you start craving solid foods, and then you get into the mush and like that level of jello and stuff, and you're like, oh, this is amazing, but you get over it real quick. And as those first like 6 weeks or so, I don't remember the exact number. First 6 weeks is like you're striving for that next goal, and I think mentally it was a little more difficult than I thought it was. Like I got through it and it was okay, but you see things that you want, or you're having, you once you get to blended, you're having to blend things. It was great the first few days, but then you start getting about halfway through and you're like, okay, I want to chew food again. I don't want my gray stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So
You
in
never
that
thought you'd be so
aspect,
excited for pureed food, right?
oh, when you told me I could have pureed food easy, I was like, oh, it's great. And then I had it, and you would have thought I was having like the biggest, greatest dessert meal ever. And it was just pureed food.
Refried
So,
beans are just the best. That's
oh
the
yeah.
best refried beans in your
Mhm.
life.
Or you said I could
Amazing.
have Greek yogurt and I could add a scoop of peanut butter, and I had that, and that sweetness in that would just because I hadn't had anything different. Everything was pretty bland at that point. Was just amazing. So in those aspects, it wasn't bad. But then it's like you work through it and different things like that, or like the water intake initially, like the 1 ounce of water early on, and making sure those aspects were a little more difficult than I expected. But like,
Tedious. Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
tedious.
and like Callie said, if you guys follow what you and your nutritionists are saying, you get through it, and they're there to support you. So it doesn't feel that bad. And
Mhm.
you're if you're looking for the goal, it's something you're just you're working towards it.
Yeah. Callie, how about you? Do you remember like what your recovery was kind of like, or is it like, wow, yeah, that was,
No,
I hadn't really
I
thought about that
do.
in a
I
long time.
do. I remember things, you always hear about the gas pain, and it's a real thing. The gas pain afterwards is real, and you guys said walk. Walking is the best. Even I had to stay overnight in the hospital because of my insurance. Um and they told me to walk as much as you can. So I had the nurses doing laps with me in the hospital, and that helped immensely.
Hmm.
Thankfully, pain wise, that's really the only thing I had. Yeah, and the food was, I had to go through all that too. The water intake, I remember that I struggled for a little bit, and I found that the water temperature helped a lot. I found if I tried to drink too cold, my stomach really didn't like that. If it was too hot, that didn't feel good either. But if I did kind of more room temperature, I could get down more. So, keeping things like that in mind, not everybody's the same. Not everybody can handle things the same. So just,
That
listen to your
part
body
particularly
and,
is very different for people. Like some
mhm.
people are like, oh, ice chips are the only thing I can do, and some people are like,
Yeah.
there's no way I can do colds, like not at
Yeah.
all. You know, it's I don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, those kinds of things, I definitely had to work through that just like everybody else. But yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise, again, I consider myself very lucky. I did not have any other issues really that cropped up.
Have you either of you experienced any dumping syndrome?
I have not, but I don't gamble with it. I intentionally do not partake in things that I know could possibly take me there. Not that I haven't had a little sweet here and there. I've done a couple work trips and things like that where I've had a little opportunity to have a little bite or two of something sweet, and I have. I also had my gallbladder out before my surgery, so I know that there's those foods that already could put me over the edge. So I
Hmm. Yeah.
don't use those either. But thankfully, knock on wood, I have not.
Yeah, same. I didn't have anything either, but I religiously followed, you guys provide the instructions, and the nutritionist really helps you and talks you through it. So I just followed it, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to, if I want to be successful, I do not want to be miserable. I don't want to. So I just followed exactly what you guys say. And like now, occasionally I think for me, like obviously carbs, like actual bread and stuff will make you the most uncomfortable. I will never eat that for a meal, but like if somebody has something and I might have a bite just to try it because I don't want to feel like I'm completely restricted and I can't do those things, but you notice it, you feel it, and you don't eat any more of it. You very much
Mhm.
limit it. I just want to try it. I want to see what it tastes like, and stuff like that. And so I never, yeah, didn't haven't had the dumping issue.
Yeah. I do tell people usually because a lot of people are very worried about dumping. And I say dumping is kind of a feature, not a bug.
Mhm.
Because for 90% of patients that get any dumping syndrome, it's usually like too much sugary, simple carbs, particularly, or too much food volume, or too much fatty food. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's pretty interesting to see like what a strong response so many people have out there. I'm so worried about dumping. I really don't want to get that. And it's like I think like your experience is almost everyone's experience, which is if you just follow the instructions, you know, straight, not even the straight and narrow, but like just generally doing a healthy diet of stuff and not getting too far out into the rough, people do just great. Yeah, no
Yep.
problems with that. So
Well, and I think the other thing too is the speed at which you eat. My nutritionist was very clear, take time, do this. Because I noticed like early on, I mean, that's one historical thing. I eat too fast. And so I can't do that anymore. If I do it, you might get through your food faster and not feel it, but it's a delayed reaction. They always talk about like eating slower helps you fill up faster, because now when you do, if you eat too fast, all of a sudden about 5 minutes later, you're very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
luckily I don't eat, I never overeat, but still all of that food, all of those ounces all at once still will make you very uncomfortable. So
Yeah. Along that lines, a lot of people's concern about doing weight loss surgery is what are they going to do in social situations, because so much of their life revolves and their relationships are around food.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage that after weight loss surgery?
So for me, my close my close friends, my acquaintances even, if I'm going to be in situations where food is important, then they know I've had surgery. I'm very upfront with them. I let them know that I've had the surgery, so what I eat or how we need to interact may need to change a little bit. Um, my daughter and I get together several times a month with my granddaughter, and we go to breakfast and we go shopping. And I still do that, and I just eat a smaller portion, and that's okay. It doesn't have to alter what you do or how you do it. It just may look a little different. You maybe eat your small portion and take it with you and have the rest of it later, or you split it. I a lot of times split my breakfast with my granddaughter if I'm
Yeah.
going with my daughter. I mean, which is totally fine. My husband and I, if we go out to dinner, then my dinner becomes his lunch the next day or later on in the week. I mean, it's not that I stop going out to dinner and enjoying myself. It's just it looks maybe slightly different. So it doesn't have to stop your social life, though.
agreed. And I'm pretty much an open book, so I have no problem telling everybody that I've had it. I, you know, um, so they understand what I'm doing. And I think, like Kelly said, if looking at the menu, finding whether sometimes I just eat off the appetizer menu. If
Mhm.
like if you're at a Italian restaurant, I might just get meatballs. Yeah, it has a little carbs in it, but it's mainly meat, and I don't eat the noodles.
And they're
I've
delicious.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I've found is a lot of places have carb free, or something you can eat. I mean, there is a few places that it gets harder. I think the picking the place is the harder thing, but I'm just more diligent about looking at the menu and finding out something I can eat, or finding an idea. And you cut it in half, you save it for later, or like ordering a hamburger and just not having the bun. Those are the
Mhm.
easy things. I mean, what I've found actually been most interesting for me lately is finding those places that offer the things that I didn't think I could eat, and they have carb-free options that you can try. So when I want to treat, like, I think one of the biggest things other than noodles and pasta that I miss was pizza. My friend who had the surgery like 3 years ago was like, "Oh, did you know Papa Murphy's has a crustless pizza?" And so you can go in and it's just a baking tin they provide you with all the toppings and sauce in it, and you bake it. And it was like, "Oh, I can split this up into two or three meals, and but I get to have pizza with everybody, and I get to have basically what in my brain is the flavor of the pizza." Or
Yeah.
Mhm.
um Jersey Mike's will make their sandwiches in a tin, so you have
Mhm.
breadless sandwich. It's like you just it's at first it feels overwhelming that you're never going to be able to go to these places, but ask the question. I don't need bread, I don't need this, can I have, and most places are great to accommodate you, so it makes it a little
Mhm.
easier, and nobody judges you for it. So it's like, and if they
Yeah.
do, so what?
Yeah. That's great insight. Cause yeah, and then that's what the handy thing with like gluten free now and keto stuff. Like, there's so much stuff out there now. It's
There is.
Yes.
yeah, there, it's it's never been easier to be successful when you
Yeah.
go out. So, what's been one of your guys' biggest wins that you didn't expect after surgery?
So I travel for work. Um, that was actually the catalyst when I finally called you guys. Was traveling for work on an airplane in my seat, crying because I was taking up so much space and was absolutely miserable on that flight. A few months ago, I went on a trip for work and I crossed my legs in the seat. And I thought, holy cow, I'm taking up so much less room. And I absolutely cried for a completely different reason. Taking up so much less space in the world, and it felt amazing. And now, in a month, actually a month to the day, my husband and I are going on an international trip. And for once in my life, I am going to be able to go hike up hills and go see things and actually feel like I've got the energy and the body that I will be able to do it in. And it's astonishing that I'm capable of what I'm capable of now.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome.
That's amazing, Kelly. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope you're really proud of yourself. That's,
I am.
you
I'm
know,
so
you should
proud.
be. We're so proud of you for that. I mean, that's, um, that's what life's about. And that's why, you know, this is our mission, is to, because I have sat by you, not you
Yeah.
specifically, but like in the plane, I just,
Mhm.
it breaks my heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say similar along the lines of Callie. The plane, those kind of things though bothered me, but like I just think my brain would just say, hey, this is the way it's always been. I think I've always, you know, being overweight for most of my life. Um, and everything for me was very gradual. So it was 10, 20 pounds here. So you kind of get in that aspect of you don't even realize 20 pounds ago what's different. Your life just becomes normal. And I think the biggest surprise and shock for me was being able to like my flexibility. I'm not overly flexible yet, but I was really surprised. So like being able to reach behind my back and scratch my back, or making it easier to shower, making it easier to get it up and down the stairs and
Mhm.
not feel overly winded. Now I'm still working on my conditioning but and stuff like that, but it's like, oh, life is this first weight loss is just like, it was surprising in that first 20 to 30 pounds where I didn't think I would see those benefits, and you did. And you get the next, I think I'm down 65 at this point, and
That's
like,
amazing.
thank you.
That is
And I
awesome.
didn't
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much benefit I was going to see. I thought it was going to be 150 pounds where I'd actually notice something. And I think that's where I think some of my fear was and how long it would take. But I think you get to a point where you forget how life was. And so those are the wins like Callie talked about and everything, where you just start like, oh, I don't have to stretch the seatbelt anymore or
Mhm.
try to tuck it under. It was like, oh, I have a little bit of hip room. Oh, I can go sit in a stadium seat and not feel completely bad. I can walk, and yeah, my legs still hurt, but I'm not as winded as I was. You notice those little things, and then on top of that, you start pushing yourself because you're like, oh, I can do this now. I'm going to.
Mhm.
And mentally, it's such a mental improvement for you. You just start looking forward to those things. You know, I'm not quite to marathon or 5K level yet, but like that actually feels like something. If I want to do it, I could now.
You'll
before
get
where I was
there,
like,
Dustin.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to, but I'm getting a little old for that, body wise. But it actually feels like an accomplishable goal.
Hmm.
Like you talk about going hiking. I feel like I could be able to do that and not stop on a hike. You know,
Yeah.
so.
No, thanks for sharing, guys.
Mhm.
That is I think so many people that struggle with their weight, they feel so limited. They're just like, life just has so much less for me. And I think
Hmm.
yeah, keeps me up at night. So, what's been one of your biggest challenges after weight loss surgery that you didn't expect?
For me, it's been the mental. It's been the accepting the body that I have now, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Even though,
doing this for a long time, I can
yeah,
it actually takes people years for their head to catch up with their body. Yeah.
yeah. So like I said, October 1 was my surgery day. I am down over 120 pounds. I still go to the plus size clothes section.
Yeah. Normal.
I was,
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, I was looking for a coat recently, a raincoat for my trip, and I was trying on extra larges and double XLs, and my husband grabbed a small and made me put it on, and it fit. And to me, that was like, even though I had it on, I couldn't accept it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, there's no way. And I compromised and got a medium. Because I wanted room, darn it. But my brain is just really struggling to be accepting of where I'm at and where I'm still moving towards. But in my mind, I still go to that plus size section first for clothing, and I still, gravitate towards that. There's still clothes in my closet that I haven't gotten rid of because I'm like, well, but I might need them, and slowly I'm getting rid of them because I don't want to need them.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mind still keeps telling me I'm not what I am now.
It's, having seen, help thousands of patients now, like, that is a very common story. It's really hard for your brain to catch up with, decades of history, and all of
Mhm.
a sudden in like 10 months, you're just like, you're shopping at a normal rack now, and
Yeah.
like it's interesting. It's really interesting. It's cool, but it's hard.
Mhm.
That's a really hard place for almost everybody to be like, to accept kind of the different where they're at now. Because all the time, right? You get something, you're like, there's just no way this is gonna fit, and it's loose, and you're
Mhm.
like, it just always gives you like this really weird reality slap in the face mentally, because you're like, man, I am so far off in my head about where I actually am. Like, what? I don't know what to make of this. So
Yeah.
And I would say though I have that similar feeling as Callie does, but I'm still early on, so I'm kind of just adjusting to that. I still
yeah.
have the visual thing, um, but more for me, it has been the planning and prep in my day.
Mhm.
Um, for food per se, and it's not like, oh, I have to prep everything, but being successful is about eating a good breakfast, having a good snack, having a smaller snack, having lunch, and doing these things in that, every 2.5 to 3.5 hours, and I was so accustomed to, hey, I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't say do the fasting, but you get busy, you won't eat till noon, and it was okay because you would catch up and you would overeat in my brain, and it was fine. You got full, no big deal. Where now is like, if I eat breakfast, then I'm, usually about 7, 8 o'clock, and then it's like, okay, well, 10:30, even though I'm not hungry yet, I need to have a small snack. I need to, and it's not like, well, you kind of get to that habit. Well, I'm not hungry. Why should I eat? And it's like, oh, well, because if I wait to eat till I'm hungry, I don't feel good. And I don't mean like uncomfortable. I just feel nauseous. And then you eat, and it just gets back into that old cycle. So if I'm away, when I'm at home, it's a little easier. Once I have to go in, if one of the days I have to go into the office, or I'm traveling, or if I'm just out on the weekend with my family, I'm still working on how to plan for that. Either bring snacks with me, have those kind of things, or if I'm staying somewhere. I mean, it's a lot of that for me has been the most difficult aspect. It's not unachievable, but it's changing your mindset and making sure you have a little bit more to be prepared with going out. And it's not hard, but hey, like you get meat sticks from Costco to have to take
Mhm.
with you. You have some hummus and stuff, to take with you. Have some you need to make sure you have snacks with you. And as a guy that never had snacks because I knew I could buy something like chips and stuff out, that's probably the hardest thing to out in not at home is the hardest thing to find is things to snack on. It's harder to go to a convenience store and just buy
Mhm.
something because it's
Yeah.
chips and things and snacks and sweets that I don't want to say one, you shouldn't be eating just health wise, but those are the hardest things to digest. So you don't want to eat those anyways. Even if you're going off the rails, it's just uncomfortable. So that I think that's been my biggest challenge is the prep and learning and getting that new way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And that's such a, I think you guys, both of you have done a great job of being very intentional about
Mhm.
rebuilding your relationship with food, which
Mhm.
is so central to this journey and and honestly really inspiring. Just hearing how like, hey, I know I foresee this and I have a plan. I gotta bet that's gotta feel really good when you're like, hey, like look at how far you've
Yep.
come, like, and look at how
Mhm.
and also I think you know, as someone with a family, like it's a great example for your kids. You know,
Mhm.
when you're like because I think that is something that we've never really had before, is to have our parents have very intentional relationships with food to show us and be good models, examples for us as how we're supposed to eat when we're adults. Because when you're eating as a kid, like you're generally burning a lot more calories. Like you got a lot more wiggle room there. But like as an adult, like we need to see our parents like, hey, have very intentional relationships with food because in the 21st century, our lives are just they're getting more easy, they're getting more comfortable, and calories are getting easier to get. So
Mhm.
it's never going to get easier to manage our weight. It's just not.
Yep.
So, you guys brought up some awesome points, and the intentionality with your relationship is with food is really so pivotal to this journey. Can you speak a little bit, maybe Callie, you first, and then Dustin? I'm curious to hear your perspective with the GLP-1s too, which is your relationship with food now. Let's say, do you think what would it be like if you had this relationship with food without the smaller stomach? Do you think you could do it?
Gosh, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Um, I mean, I've tried before. I've worked with trainers, I've worked with nutritionists before and, tried to change my mindset and all of that. And I proved to not be successful before. Um I think that the smaller stomach was the tool that I needed to finally be able to do it. So I don't know, even with medication. I've tried that too. So I don't know that I could have done it without having the surgery because I think that it was truly the missing key.
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer in like your system sets you up in the direction of your success. And our bodies, the system of your body is made to survive hardship and scarcity,
Mhm.
not comfort and abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dustin, in your experience, because I know you were on, from a GLP-1 standpoint ahead of time, and then can you share a little bit of what that's experience been like, comparing and contrasting like medication before surgery and then surgery plus, a little bit of medication now too.
Yeah. Um, so when I started the GLP ones 2 to 3 years ago, and I didn't have a lot of success. Oh well, let me rephrase that. I didn't have the success I wanted. Um, it stopped me from being hungry, but when I did eat, it didn't stop me from overeating. So you still get, I think that's the hardest thing of all the I definitely think would definitely say I was addicted to food. I still am. Of all the addictions is eating. You can't not eat. You have to eat. It's not, you can quit smoking and never have to smoke. You can stop drugs. I'm not saying it's easier, but you don't have to intake that food. You have, the one thing you're addicted to, you have to eat, which makes
Mhm.
that choice and that mental aspect hard. So I was still, the GLP-1s, I think it helped me maintain my weight and stuff like that. But I didn't need to. I was farther in my weight gain life that I wasn't able to do the other things that I think would have helped, the smaller portions and things like that. And mentally, I think mentally I wasn't, I couldn't do it alone. And so when then I got the weight loss and I'm only noticing this because of the weight loss surgery, because it's like, okay, I got the weight loss surgery. Yeah, for me, it was all portion control and sizes and being able to restrict what I eat. And I don't mean that you can, like we said, we've talked about never have it, but you don't want to because you can tell, and it helps those triggers and those things like that. And then I think you weren't having me do the GLP-1 afterwards, but I could notice myself that hunger pain coming back earlier and stuff. So having that small dose of the GLP-1 now limits my cravings, and keen on the small dose, like I would be hungry, when I wasn't on it, I would get hungry every like hour and a half. And then GLP-1 just helps me do that 2 to 3 hours and not have that nauseous feeling and trying to run for a snack. So I feel like it's just that added tool at a small dose that's helping me. And I notice it, I can notice it both sides where it was, but the surgery's been that key that's got me down, where the GLP-1 just helped me not be hungry. And they talk about it as like, yeah, you burn fat. Well, if you're just throwing in the more calories and not being as active in the wrong body, and in my body, it just didn't do that. I'm glad that other people can, but for me, it just wasn't there. It wasn't going to be the case. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your experience with these things. It's it's just, there's so much mystery that people have out there, and you would not believe the crazy ideas people come to me with. They're like, I thought I was like gonna get cancer like in a couple of years and die, and I was like, no, your risk of
Wow.
cancer drops from like 15 different cancers. It significantly drops. Your life
Yeah.
expectancy adds like 10 years, if you lose, a significant amount of weight. So, uh guys, this has been really nice. Last question, do you have any regrets about doing weight loss surgery?
So the only regret I have is not doing it sooner. I'm almost 50 now, and I think about all the years that I could have been more active and all of that, but I know that this was probably the right time for me to do it because I was mature enough to actually do it, and I think doing it pretty successfully. And to have the mindset to take advantage of it. My diet's my diet's good. I'm exercising. I'm active. Everything's aligned right now. So yeah, I don't regret doing the surgery for a minute. I'm so glad I did.
yeah, Callie stole my thunder because that was pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
That's exactly
Um,
what everybody says. It's
yeah,
literally everybody says. Yeah.
but
Mhm.
but like Callie as well, I think this was the right time for me as well. Not just because of the maturity and stuff, but mentally. I think for me, the biggest hurdle I needed to overcome was the mental aspect of not liking myself, because you get into that level of depression. I think that, I mean, uh, for me, getting on depression meds helped because mentally I went to a therapy, got this, and I had that, and then that helped me, which drove me to this. And so I got mentally right and knew mentally this is what I wanted and what I needed. I needed to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight, and I want to be successful. I wanted that thing. So I was going to do anything and everything to get that. And so I think that's the biggest hurdle in everybody's life is not picking the surgery and thinking it's too early or too late, but wanting to and being willing to do whatever you need to
Mhm.
accomplish that goal. And
Yeah.
that was biggest thing for me. So
Oh, that hits it right on the head. I think I've been trying to think too. Like people ask that question, it's like, well, when should I do weight loss surgery? And I think tell me if you think this is right, like this resonates with you. But my framework now is if you want to lose weight, but you're not really willing to change, I don't think you're ready.
No,
But
you're not.
if you're just willing to change and you say, I want this and I'm willing to change, or I want this. I know I want to lose weight and I'm willing to do what it takes. And I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall. I feel like I'm swimming upstream and it's like I feel like you're Frodo and you're like, I'll take the ring to Mordor, but I don't know the way, you know? It's like
Mhm.
that is when surgery is going to be awesome for you. It really
Yes.
will.
mm,
If you're willing to change and you want this, let's go. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Cool. Callie, Dustin, it's been wonderful having you on. We're really proud of you. And
Thank you.
yeah, this is such a joy for us at Aviva. Like this is more than a job for us. This is, this is our calling, is to, be a part of this journey with you guys. So thank you for coming on here. Thank you for sharing it. If you're out there and you're struggling with your weight, there's hope. There's a lot of things. I can't guarantee the results of anything, but I can tell you 100% scientifically proven surgery is the best tool to help you. We can get people through very safely. There is always, of course, some risk involved, but it is actually way less than you probably think it is. And yeah, and you're not going to be alone. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and hope you have a great day.
Thank
Thanks for having
you.
us.